Hi, my name is Todd Faulkner, and I'm the Dean of the School of Theology and Christian Ministry, Chapel at Anderson University. I want to take a moment and welcome each of you to this first session of our Spring 21 series, and I want to take a moment today and talk about wilderness. For many of us, the turning of the calendar page from December 2020 to January 2021 represented more than just the changing of months or the shifting into a new year, but rather the opening into a new chapter or even a new season of life. It's a time of wilderness for many of us. When you think of wilderness, what comes to mind? Maybe long stretches, maybe stretches of unknown or uncharted territory. I know for me, I also think of a place in a stretch of land where provision may not be obvious. Like, where is it coming from? What will it be? How will I get there, wherever there is? So when we think of wilderness, a big question mark may come to our minds, especially if we find ourselves in a time of change and transition into something new and different and even unknown. But for many of us, we also look back. We look back on the times of God's faithfulness. Many of those times are recorded in Scripture. We think of Moses being called into something God-sized as God meets him in the burning bush right in the midst of the wilderness. We think of the Israelites traveling through those deserted lands, through that wilderness, and looking to God for provision. We're hungry. Where's the bread coming from? And so it comes from heaven. But now we're thirsty, so the water from a rock. How do we get there? We've never been there. Pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. And for each of us, in our times of wilderness, the provision will look different. The direction will inevitably not always be a cloud by day and a fire by night, but God knows how to lead us. I think of Elijah laying prostrate on the desert ground, fleeing from Jezebel. He's tired, he's exhausted, he's ready to throw in the towel and give up. And yet God hears him and meets him in the wilderness and provides for him by the ravens. Is it any wonder then that Mark tells us that Jesus was driven by the Spirit into the wilderness, where Jesus spent 40 days being tempted by Satan with the wild animals and the angels that tended him? We know that there was a lot going on for Jesus in that wilderness time, but we also know that Jesus was faithful. He made it through the wilderness and on over to the other side, where he came proclaiming good news. Friends, this semester, we want to continue to bring good news. We want to bring encouragement and perspective for those who are on the mountains and can see far, for those who are going through the valleys and it's difficult to see even the step in front of you. But also for those of us who maybe right now are somewhere on the plains, trusting that God will continue to provide as God has always provided. And looking down at the footprints in front of us, the footprints of Moses and the Israelites, the footprints of Elijah, the footprints of Jesus, and the footprints of all of those who have found God to be faithful, even in, and maybe especially, in the wilderness.